I walked into my office at 6:30 a.m. Tuesday morning and found Christopher Palmer going through my filing cabinets. The new VP, who'd been here exactly 4 days, was rifling through 24 years of my work like he was shopping at a garage sale. He didn't hear me come in, too busy pulling out folders, scanning documents, then tossing them back like they were yesterday's newspaper. My safety protocols, my supplier contracts, my efficiency reports that had saved this company hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years. Looking for something specific? I asked. He jumped like I'd caught him stealing from the petty cash. Spun around with this practiced smile that didn't reach his eyes, smoothing down his tie like nothing had happened. Tim, early bird today, I see. He gestured at my open filing cabinet like it was the most natural thing in the world for him to be going through it. Just getting familiar with our operational frameworks, understanding the historical context before we implement new protocols. Historical context, right? At 6:30 in the morning, alone in my office, going through files that contained everything I'd built over 2 decades. My name's Timothy Peterson, but everyone calls me Tim, and until that moment, I thought I was the Senior Operations Director at Consolidated Manufacturing. 48 years old, been with this company since I was 24, back when we were a small family outfit with 30 employees and dreams of making it big in the Midwest manufacturing scene. I'd watched us grow from a cramped facility with questionable heating to a modern operation with 150 people on payroll. Hell, I'd personally designed every system that keeps this place running smooth. Andrew Walsh, our CEO, had built this company from nothing, and I'd been right there with him through the lean years. When we couldn't afford proper inventory software, I tracked everything on spreadsheets that I'd stay up all night perfecting. When our biggest supplier tried to gouge us during the 2008 crisis, I'd found 3 new vendors and negotiated contracts that saved us 40%. When that fire at Anderson Industries threatened to kill our biggest account, I'd worked 42 straight hours to reroute their entire supply chain and keep them operational. The company had become as much mine as anyone's, even if my name wasn't on the building. My military background in Army logistics had served me well here. You learn to think systematically, plan for contingencies, and never leave your people behind. So when Chris showed up last week with his power suit and his confidence, announcing he was here to revolutionize our operational paradigms, I should have seen trouble coming. But honestly, I figured he'd be another consultant who'd stick around for a few months, write some reports nobody would read, and disappear with a nice check. I was dead wrong. "You're here early," I said, not moving from the doorway, blocking his exit without making it obvious. Always am. Early bird catches the worm, right? He closed the filing cabinet and leaned against my desk like he owned it. "Actually, I'm glad you're here. We need to discuss the transition timeline." "What transition?" His smile got wider and colder at the same time. "Your new role, strategic advisory position. Andrew and I discussed it yesterday. We think your institutional knowledge will be valuable in a consulting capacity while I handle the day-to-day operational management." Strategic advisory. That's corporate speak for we're putting you out to pasture but don't want a lawsuit. Here's the thing, I knew exactly what he meant. I'd been around corporate politics long enough to recognize a power play when I saw one. But what I couldn't figure out was why. I'd never met this guy before Monday. Had no idea where he came from or why Andrew had brought him in without so much as a heads up to me. "When did Andrew decide this?" I asked. "Last week. He wanted to surprise you with the good news." Chris straightened his jacket and headed for the door. "We'll make the announcement at this morning's staff meeting. I know change can be difficult, but I'm confident you'll adapt to the new leadership paradigm." New leadership paradigm. Jesus. This guy talked like a business school textbook. After he left, I sat at my desk for a solid 10 minutes, staring at my open filing cabinet. Something wasn't right. You don't just show up at a company and immediately start going through sensitive operational documents. You don't get promoted to VP after 4 days without some serious connections or some serious leverage. I called Andrew's direct line, got voicemail, called his assistant. She said he was in meetings all morning, couldn't be disturbed. Convenient. At 8 a.m. sharp, Andrew called an all-hands meeting. The entire warehouse and office staff crammed into the main conference room, people standing along the walls because we didn't have enough chairs. I found a spot near the back, next to Steve Campbell, who'd shared coffee breaks with me every morning for over a decade. "Morning, everyone," Andrew began, and I could hear the forced enthusiasm in his voice. The same tone he used when he was trying to sell something he didn't quite believe himself. I want to introduce you all to Christopher Palmer, our new VP of Operations. Chris stepped forward with a confidence that made my teeth itch. Designer suit, perfect hair, the kind of smile that said he'd never worked a day on an actual factory floor. Thank you, Andrew. I'm excited to be here and to bring fresh energy to your supply chain management. He scanned the room like he was taking inventory. I know change can be challenging, but I'm confident we can modernize our operational frameworks and compete more effectively in today's market. There was that phrase again, operational frameworks, like everything we'd been doing for 24 years was just amateur hour until he showed up. Of course, Chris continued, transitions require institutional knowledge. That's why Tim Peterson will be moving into a strategic advisory role, helping me understand our history while I lead us into the future. The room went dead quiet. Not a cough, not a shuffle of feet. Nothing. You could have heard a pin drop on the concrete floor. Nobody looked at me. Not Stephen Foster, who'd been my right-hand man for 9 years, who'd learned everything he knew about logistics from our late-night problem-solving sessions. Not Tony Rodriguez from the shipping department, who I'd helped get promoted when he was just a temp worker trying to support his kids. Not even Steve, standing right next to me, who knew my coffee order better than my ex-wife ever did. They all found something fascinating about their shoes or clipboards or the ceiling tiles. Anywhere but my face. Andrew's hand rested on Chris's shoulder like he was his prize student. Tim can help you understand our systems while you implement your innovative approaches. History, systems, innovation. I was being turned into a museum exhibit while still breathing. 24 years of building processes, training people, solving problems that kept this place profitable. And now I was just history to be preserved and referenced when convenient. Look, I've been around long enough to know how these things work. New management comes in, wants to make their mark. Sometimes the old guard has to step aside. I get it. But this felt different. This felt personal. Even though I'd never laid eyes on Chris Palmer before Monday morning, Chris's smile was all teeth and no warmth. Tim's institutional knowledge will be invaluable as we implement modern operational frameworks. But we need to move beyond legacy thinking if we're going to compete in today's market. Legacy thinking. Translation. Everything I'd done to build this place was now considered obsolete. He pointed toward a cramped office near the loading dock, barely bigger than a storage closet. That corner space will be perfect for your strategic work, Tim. I'll need this main office cleared out by this afternoon. My office, the place where I'd spent countless nights figuring out how to save this company money, streamline our processes, keep our people employed when times got tough. The wall still had the safety award we'd won after I implemented new protocols that cut workplace accidents by 55%. The shelf held thank you letters from clients whose operations I'd saved during emergencies. 24 years of my professional life, and he wanted it cleaned out in 4 hours. Understood, I said, keeping my voice steady even though my hands wanted to shake. No point in making a scene. Not yet. The meeting broke up with people avoiding eye contact and mumbling about getting back to work. Andrew clapped Chris on the shoulder and walked him toward what used to be my office, already talking about exciting changes and new directions. I stood there for a moment, listening to the familiar sounds of the warehouse, watching my team scatter like they couldn't get away from me fast enough. Stephen caught my eye for just a second and looked like he wanted to say something, but Chris called his name, and he hurried over to him instead. That's when I knew this wasn't going to be some temporary consultant situation. This was a takeover, and I was the casualty. You know what really got me? It wasn't just the demotion. It wasn't even losing my office. It was the way everyone just accepted it. Like 24 years of working together, solving problems together, building something together meant nothing. Like I was already dead to them. 3 hours later, I watched maintenance guys haul my filing cabinets down to the basement, while Chris directed the installation of a standing desk and some abstract art where my family photos used to hang. The old furniture looks so outdated, he told them, waving his hand dismissively. We're going for a more modern aesthetic that reflects innovation and forward thinking. The furniture my team had chipped in to buy me when I got promoted to senior director 8 years ago. The desk where I'd trained dozens of young managers. Where Stephen had come to me when his dad got sick and he needed help navigating the insurance paperwork. Where Tony had sat crying when his divorce was finalized and he didn't know how he'd manage as a single dad. I'd helped him restructure his schedule so he could pick up his kids from school. Now it was all being hauled away like yesterday's garbage. My new office was basically a glorified storage closet, with a wobbly chair and a computer that wheezed when it started up. The kind of machine we'd retired from the main floor 5 years ago because it was too slow for inventory tracking. There was barely enough room for a desk and a filing cabinet. And the single window looked out onto the dumpster behind the loading dock. The message couldn't have been clearer if Chris had hung a sign. This is where we put people we're trying to get rid of. My phone rang almost immediately after I'd squeezed myself behind the tiny desk. Tim, I'm sorry, but Chris called a meeting in conference room A, Stephen said, and I could hear the stress in his voice. He'd been with me long enough to know this whole situation stunk. He said it's just for department heads and senior supervisors. When's the meeting? Right now. He said it's about restructuring the operational hierarchy and implementing new management protocols. I was being locked out of meetings about my own department. The department I'd built from 8 people to 45. The systems I designed were being discussed without me in the room. No problem, I lied, because what else was I going to say? After hanging up, I tried to log into my computer to check emails. Password had been changed. I called IT. Sorry, Tim, said Tommy from tech support, a kid I'd helped hire 3 years ago when he was fresh out of community college. Chris requested security restrictions on certain accounts during the transition period. I have to follow protocol. Even my email access had been cut off in my own department. I sat there for a minute, listening to the muffled sounds of the warehouse through the thin walls, forklifts, moving inventory, workers calling out shipping updates, the steady rhythm of productivity that I'd helped orchestrate for over 2 decades. All of it happening without me now. Around 4:30 p.m., I found an email from Chris that someone had printed out and left on my desk. Must have been Steve. He was the only one who still looked me in the eye when he passed by. The subject line read, "Embracing Innovation." Moving beyond legacy protocols, I opened it and felt my chest tighten. Attached was a 22-page presentation about modernizing our supply chain management. It was scheduled for the board meeting next week, with Chris presenting as the author. But here's what made my blood run cold. These weren't just similar ideas to what I'd developed over the past 8 years. These were my exact systems, down to the specific vendor rotation schedules and inventory management algorithms. The supplier evaluation matrices I'd spent months perfecting. The cost reduction strategies that had saved the company over $850,000 annually. Even the emergency protocols I'd written after the Anderson fire. Everything had Chris's name on it. Every innovation, every efficiency improvement, every process optimization that had made our department the most profitable in the company. He'd taken 8 years of my work and repackaged it as his breakthrough thinking. The same protocols Andrew had called Tim's magic touch at last year's board meeting were now being presented as next-generation operational frameworks designed for modern manufacturing environments. I read through the whole thing twice, looking for any acknowledgement of my work, any mention that these weren't his original ideas. Nothing. According to this presentation, Christopher Palmer had arrived at Consolidated Manufacturing and immediately identified numerous inefficiencies in our legacy operations that could be resolved through his innovative approach. Look, I've dealt with corporate politics before. I've seen credit stolen, ideas borrowed, contributions minimized. But this wasn't just stealing credit. This was wholesale theft of intellectual property wrapped up in corporate buzzwords and delivered with a smile. My hands were shaking slightly by the time I finished reading. Not from anger, not yet, but from the sheer audacity of what he was doing. This wasn't just about pushing me aside. This was systematic erasure of everything I'd contributed, everything I'd built, everything that made this department work. At 5 p.m. sharp, a sticky note appeared on my desk. My office 515 minus Chris, not my old office anymore. His office now. I found him leaning against what used to be my desk, tapping away on his phone like I wasn't worth looking at directly. The space had been completely transformed. My industry awards were gone, replaced with his MBA diploma, and some generic motivational posters about disruption and innovation. The comfortable chairs where I'd had countless one-on-one meetings with my team had been replaced with modern, uncomfortable-looking things that seemed designed to keep meetings short. "Sit," he said without glancing up from his phone. I stayed standing. After 24 years in this company, I wasn't going to be ordered around like a disobedient dog. He finally looked up with this practiced smile that didn't reach his eyes, the kind of expression they probably taught in business school for handling difficult subordinates. "Your operational efficiency presentation was very well received in today's meeting." "You mean my operational efficiency protocols?" His smile never wavered. "Your research provided useful groundwork, certainly, But groundwork isn't architecture, Tim. I've modernized and elevated your basic concepts into something actionable for the 21st century. Basic concepts. 8 years of innovation, problem solving, and continuous improvement reduced to basic concepts that needed his MBA magic to become useful. You copied my vendor management system word for word, I said, keeping my voice level. The supplier evaluation matrices, the inventory rotation schedules, even the emergency protocols I wrote after the Anderson fire. That's not modernizing, Chris. That's plagiarism. That's a serious accusation, he replied, setting his phone down with deliberate precision, especially from someone in your position. My position? He leaned back in my old chair like he'd been sitting there for years instead of hours. People who've been at one company too long often become territorial about processes, resistant to necessary changes. It's a well-documented phenomenon in organizational psychology. The words hit like a slap. He'd been studying how to undermine me. Probably had a whole playbook for dealing with difficult long-time employees. Andrew understands this transition might be challenging for you, he continued, his tone shifting to something that might have been sympathy if it wasn't so calculated. I knew exactly what he meant. He'd been poisoning the well with Andrew, positioning me as the problem before I even knew there was a problem to be had. Is that why you excluded me from the department meeting today? He sighed like I was a child having a tantrum. I needed honest feedback about operational leadership effectiveness. People aren't comfortable speaking candidly with their former supervisor present. It creates an inhibiting dynamic that prevents authentic assessment. Former supervisor. He'd already rewritten the org chart in his head, and apparently in everyone else's too. Besides, he continued, we're restructuring next month anyway. Some positions will be eliminated as we streamline operations. Others will evolve into new roles that require different skill sets. Your future here depends entirely on your ability to adapt to new leadership paradigms. The threat couldn't have been clearer if he'd put it in neon letters: conform or be terminated. After 24 years of making this company profitable, keeping it running through economic downturns, building systems that literally kept the lights on, I was being given an ultimatum by someone who'd been here less than a week. Is there anything else? I asked quietly, not trusting myself to say more. Actually, yes, the Anderson Industries contract renewal meeting tomorrow morning. I'll be handling that personally. Patrick Anderson. I'd built that relationship over 14 years, through good times and bad. When their plant had that fire in 2018, I'd worked around the clock to reroute their supply chain and keep them operational. When they needed custom modifications to our standard products, I'd personally overseen the engineering changes. Patrick had specifically requested me for all major contract discussions because he trusted me, trusted our history together. Patrick asked for me to be there, I said. He's been our client longer than you've been out of college. I spoke with Patrick this morning. He understands the new direction we're taking, fresh perspective, innovative approaches. He's actually quite excited about the possibilities. Patrick Anderson was old school manufacturing, the kind of guy who valued relationships and reliability over flashy presentations. But if Chris had already gotten to him, convinced him that change was coming whether he liked it or not, then he was systematically stripping away everything I'd built. My office, my role, my relationships with clients I'd served for years. Not just demoting me, but erasing me entirely, piece by piece. That's all, he said, turning his attention back to his phone like I'd already ceased to exist. I walked out, passing the glass-walled conference room where my team was still in their meeting. They went quiet as I passed, eyes darting away like I had some contagious disease. Whatever Chris had told them about me, about my territorial behavior and resistance to change, had poisoned the well completely. Back at my new closet office, I found an email from HR waiting on my desk. Someone had printed it out since I still couldn't access my computer. Performance Improvement Plan, confidential, a formal PIP, the first step toward termination. The document was a masterpiece of corporate doublespeak, resistance to innovative leadership initiatives, territorial behavior regarding departmental protocols, difficulty adapting to changing organizational structures. Each phrase was carefully chosen to sound reasonable while being vague enough that Chris could interpret my actions however he wanted. Here's the thing that really got to me. I'd given 24 years to this company. Worked through pneumonia twice because we were short-staffed during peak season. Missed my son Michael's graduation ceremony when that supplier crisis threatened to shut down production for a week. Postponed my vacation 3 different times when Steven's team needed help implementing the new inventory system. Came in on weekends, stayed late on weeknights, carried my work phone everywhere in case of emergencies. Now I was being pushed out by someone who'd built his entire strategy on stealing my work and convincing everyone that I was the problem. I shut down the wheezing computer, grabbed my jacket, and walked out without saying goodbye to anyone. No point in making it awkward for people who were clearly trying to distance themselves from me. In my car in the parking lot, I sat for 20 minutes staring at nothing, feeling a strange calm replace the initial shock. The late afternoon sun was slanting through the windshield, warming the interior, and I could hear the distant sounds of the second shift arriving for work. Life going on, business as usual, like nothing had changed. They thought they were watching a man being gradually erased from his own company. Expected anger, maybe a dramatic resignation letter, possibly some kind of emotional breakdown that would justify everything they'd done. They had no idea who they were dealing with. That night, I didn't call my brother to vent about corporate politics. Didn't crack open a beer and feel sorry for myself while watching the news. Instead, I went to my home office and pulled out my personal external drive, the one where I'd been backing up every project, every efficiency report, every supplier contract negotiation for the past 15 years. Not because I'd been planning for this moment, but because my military training had taught me to always protect institutional knowledge. You never knew when you might need to reference an old solution to solve a new problem, or when some crisis would require you to understand exactly how a system had been built from the ground up. What I found as I started digging through those files made my hands shake slightly. You see, I'd always paid attention to patterns. That's what made me good at operations, noticing when things didn't add up, when numbers looked wrong, when people's stories had holes in them. And as I dug through my files that night, Chris's story started showing more holes than Swiss cheese. It took me until 3 a.m., but I'd compiled something that would change everything. Christopher Palmer hadn't just landed at Consolidated Manufacturing by coincidence. His previous company, Precision Components Inc., had gone bankrupt 18 months ago after implementing what they called revolutionary efficiency protocols, the same protocols he was now trying to push here. The same cost-cutting measures, the same supplier restructuring, even the same buzzwords about modernizing legacy operations. But here's what really caught my attention. 6 months before Precision Components collapsed, Chris had received substantial consulting fees from an investment group called Great Lakes Investment Partners. The same investment group that had been sniffing around our company for the past year, making offers Andrew kept rejecting because he wanted to keep the business in the family. Look, I've been around manufacturing long enough to know when something smells fishy, and this whole situation reeked. I spent the next 2 days digging deeper, using my industry contacts to piece together the real story. Called up Jim Henderson, who used to run procurement at Precision Components before they went under. What he told me made my blood run cold. "Tim, that guy was poison," Jim said when I reached him at his new job. He came in talking about efficiency improvements, but every change he made weakened us. Cut our best suppliers, eliminated quality controls that had kept us competitive for 20 years. By the time we figured out what was happening, we were bleeding money and clients. What happened after the bankruptcy? Great Lakes Investment swooped in and bought our client list for pennies on the dollar. Turns out they'd been planning it all along. Chris got a nice bonus and disappeared, left 167 people without jobs. The pattern was clear as daylight. Chris wasn't here to improve Consolidated Manufacturing. He was here to sabotage it from the inside, make it vulnerable for acquisition by his real employers. The efficiency protocols he'd stolen from me weren't meant to work long-term. They were designed to show short-term gains while undermining our foundation, making us look profitable enough to buy but weak enough to control. I made 4 more calls that night. Same story everywhere. Chris Palmer had a track record of showing up at successful manufacturing companies, implementing his revolutionary changes, then watching them collapse into the waiting arms of Great Lakes Investment Partners. Friday morning, I arrived at work early, before the security guard finished his rounds. I'd spent Thursday night preparing one final document, a comprehensive analysis of Chris's background, his connection to Great Lakes Investment Partners, and the timeline of how he'd systematically destroyed his previous company using the exact same playbook he was implementing here. I placed a single manila folder on Chris's desk with a simple note. For your review, historical operational analysis and competitive intelligence patterns. Then I went to handle my 8 a.m. call with our steel supplier, one of the few meetings still on my calendar. When I got back at 10:30 a.m., something had clearly happened. People were huddled in groups throughout the warehouse, conversations stopping abruptly when they saw me. Security guards were stationed outside the executive offices, and I could see Andrew through his glass door with his phone pressed to his ear, gesturing frantically while pacing back and forth. Steve hurried over to me, eyes wide with excitement and confusion. "Tim, what did you do?" I shared some historical context about operational efficiency patterns, I replied calmly. Chris ran into Andrew's office about 20 minutes ago, yelling about harassment and false accusations. Then security came, and now the whole executive team's been locked in there with some people from the board. I nodded and headed toward my little closet office, feeling strangely peaceful for the first time in days. "Aren't you worried?" Steve asked, following me. "About what?" "About." He gestured vaguely toward the executive wing where you could see suits moving around behind frosted glass. "No," I said simply. "I'm not worried at all." At noon, an email from Andrew's assistant appeared on my desk, printed out again since I still couldn't access my computer. "Meeting requested. Main conference room. Immediate." The walk to the executive floor felt surreal. Every eye in the building was on me, some curious, others fearful. Whatever was happening had rippled through the entire company like an earthquake. I found Andrew at the head of the conference table, flanked by Janet Rodriguez from legal and Patricia Williamson from the board of directors. Chris was nowhere to be seen, and Andrew looked like he'd aged 10 years since Tuesday. "Sit down, Tim," Andrew said, his voice heavy with exhaustion. I took a seat directly across from him, keeping my hands steady on the table. "The file you left for Chris," he began slowly. "Where did you get that information?" "Company archives, supplier communications, and publicly available financial records," I replied. "Everything's documented and verifiable." Janet leaned forward, her expression grim. "Tim, you've made extremely serious allegations about corporate espionage and deliberate sabotage." "I haven't made allegations," I corrected her. "I compiled data and identified patterns. The evidence speaks for itself." Andrew rubbed his temples like he had the mother of all headaches. "You are claiming Chris deliberately implemented strategies at his previous company that led to its collapse. And now he's replicating those same strategies here for the benefit of outside investors. The data supports that conclusion, yes. Chris has been suspended pending a full investigation," Patricia said quietly. "The board is bringing in external auditors. If what you've documented proves accurate, we're looking at criminal charges. You know what the best part was?" I didn't gloat. I didn't say, "I told you so," or demand an apology. I just sat there, hands folded, waiting for them to process what they'd almost let happen to their company. Over the next week, the whole story unraveled. The external investigators confirmed everything I'd found and more. Chris hadn't just been stealing my operational protocols. He'd been feeding our entire competitive strategy to Great Lakes investment partners, setting us up for the same kind of engineered bankruptcy that had destroyed Precision Components and 3 other manufacturing firms over the past 5 years. By the following Friday, Chris's name had been scrubbed from the company directory, and the FBI was involved. My phone started ringing that same day. Word travels fast in manufacturing circles when someone exposes corporate espionage. "Mr. Peterson, this is Linda Stevens from Midwest Industrial Solutions. We'd like to discuss a chief operating officer position with you." That was the first of 6 calls I got that week. Turns out protecting American manufacturing jobs and exposing industrial sabotage makes a man pretty marketable. But the real satisfaction wasn't the job offers or the vindication. It was walking through that warehouse Monday morning and seeing Stephen and Tony and the rest of my team back to their normal selves, no longer worried about losing their livelihoods to some efficiency scheme designed to destroy us from within. Andrew offered me Chris's old position, VP of Operations, with a 35% raise and full authority over my department. I considered it for about 10 seconds, then politely declined. "Why?" he asked, genuinely puzzled. "Because I don't trust your judgment anymore," I said simply. "You brought in a corporate saboteur and handed him the keys to everything I'd built, without so much as a phone call to ask my opinion. That tells me everything I need to know about how you value my contributions." 3 months later, I was sitting in the COO office at Midwest Industrial Solutions, making 45% more than I ever did at Consolidated. They'd headhunted me specifically because of my track record and my reputation for spotting corporate espionage. Turns out there's a lot of Chris Palmers out there, and companies are finally waking up to the threat. Every morning when I walk through their operation, I know exactly who built what systems and why they work. That's what 24 years of real experience gets you. The ability to tell the difference between genuine innovation and corporate sabotage wrapped in buzzwords. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying your enemy. It's protecting what matters and proving that experience, loyalty, and attention to detail will always triumph over flashy credentials and sabotage schemes designed to fool people who should know better. If this story teaches you anything, it's that the people trying to erase your contributions usually can't build anything themselves. They can only steal what others have created and slap their name on it. And when you've spent decades building something real, with real relationships and real knowledge that can't be faked, the truth always has a way of coming out. You just have to be patient enough to let the evidence speak for itself. When someone tries to erase you from your own creation, remember, thieves can steal your work, but they can never steal your ability to build something better somewhere else. The most dangerous enemies aren't the ones who attack you directly, but the ones who smile while systematically dismantling everything you've built, and the most satisfying victories come from letting their own arrogance expose their true intentions. When corporate wolves in sheep's clothing try to devour everything you've built, remember, your decades of real experience and systematic thinking will always expose their paper-thin credentials and hollow promises. The sweetest victory isn't just proving you were right all along, but watching your enemies destroy themselves with their own arrogance while you walk away to something better than they could ever steal from you.